Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Jeez Louise, fight night in Salt Lake City, Megan. What an end to that period. Nathan MacKinnon dropping the gloves with Barrett Hayton. A big kind of brawl breaks out as the horn goes. Quite the finish to that period, but the Avs find a way to get one to go. Arturi Lehkonen from Nathan MacKinnon and Sam Malinsky gives the Avs a 1-0 lead heading into the second intermission. We'll start as we always do, Megan. Your overall thoughts on what we saw there in that middle frame for the Avs and the Utah Hockey Club.
Well, it was a good road period.
Another good road period. That's back-to-back good road periods.
Because the 5v5 game, it seemed like they got hemmed in their own end a little bit, especially at the start of that period. So there were some concerns how they could maybe turn that around. But obviously they convert when it mattered most. And they beat Vejmelka, who has been one of the best players in this game. It just comes up even more importantly for Utah, some of the saves that he came up with. There's a MacKinnon snapshot near the crease. He tried to pick his spot and Vejmelka just clubbed it down kind of in the opening 5-minute span there. And so just a huge period from Vejmelka to make this a little bit more challenging for the Avs to create opportunities. And so I really love to see them get rewarded for it. I think that Malinsky was due to get a point at least. He has had no points in the month of December through 11 games, gets his first as a secondary assist. And I love the trust that Nathan MacKinnon had to utilize him in the neutral zone to be the one to get the entry on that play, use his speed to get below the goal line. He does a little spin, flips the puck back to Nathan MacKinnon, who has been also one of the best players in this game. I think he had some of the most dangerous opportunities in the first period. And what he does to juke, I think it's, let me see, it was Kraus. Yeah, he juked Kraus, found a seam through Bukestad and Sergachev to Lehkonen to sort of snap and tip it in to finally beat Vejmelka. It's a great goal, too, to get them up coming out now 40 minutes of play.
Well, I want to talk about Nathan MacKinnon, but we're going to circle back to that as he is officially on Gordie Howe hat trick watch, folks. A fight and an assist in this game. Just real quick, 9 fights in his career, 4 against the Arizona/Utah organization. He just hates these guys. But let's talk a little bit more about the rest of that period before we get into Nathan MacKinnon. Specifically, you made mention of Karel Vejmelka being one of the best players so far in this game. Completely agree with that. And Mackenzie Blackwood has had to match that every little bit on the other end for his team to stay in this. I felt like that period, Megan, was Utah controlling pace and possession for the first half, Colorado doing the same in the second half, and Colorado kind of springboarded themselves off of that goal from Arturi Lehkonen. Once again in this period, Avs probably do not come out with the lead if not from Mackenzie Blackwood.
No, there's a Matthias Michelli tip-in attempt that Blackwood had an answer for around the 9-minute mark. That was a huge save for this group, and I think another huge reason that they're still in this, because again, they get hemmed in their end, especially at the start of this period. And I think they improved as it went on, but that was a lot of extended shifts in their own end. They're probably getting a little bit fatigued, a little bit tired. They have a Mackenzie Blackwood to kind of come up as this last line of defense for when maybe they are feeling a little bit of that fatigue set in coming out of the break. And it's huge. It's what keeps this a 1-goal game. It's because it's close right now. You know, Utah's not out of this game. Obviously, the tension is rising. So I expect that to boil over a little bit into the third period. You hope that it's in a way that is not productive for Utah. And hopefully, too, Colorado stays out of the extracurriculars and shenanigans and just continues to push the pace now that it feels like, at least at the end of the second period, it's tilted in their favor a little bit.
Well, right. And you know that this is going to ramp up the intensity, the energy, all kinds of stuff. The only problem for the Avs is they're now going to be without Nathan MacKinnon for basically the first 5 minutes of the third period. And to your point, he has been so good. This is where I think we've seen the biggest change in the way that the Avs have played over the last 5 to 7 games with the new goaltending tandem. Is they've been able to dig in, they've been able to lock things down, and they've even shown flashes of that before the new tandem got to town. But just having that added goaltending has helped. They're going to have to, like, no rest for the weary. Like, you come out of this break and you are going to have to put together one of your best periods quickly, because this Utah team is not going to roll over. That fight and the scrum there right after is going to inject a lot of life, a lot of energy into this building. And the Avs are going to have to come out very ready for that.
I think what I like is I think the Avs are juiced up by it too. They
Yeah.
see Nathan MacKinnon drop the gloves, and honestly, it feels from my quick rewatch of what happened there that Barrett Hayton completely baits him into that altercation, that he gets tied up with him very unnecessarily. And so Nathan MacKinnon just responds out of frustration, like, I'm sick of this and I can answer for this myself. I'd prefer him not be the one to answer for it. But you know what? I have to imagine that invigorates the guys a little bit. And then the little skirmish there at the final buzzer in that period, Lehkonen walks away smiling. He's loving it. He's got a goal. He's also getting involved a little bit. And look, I don't want them to get carried away with it, but I hope that this can be simultaneously beneficial for the Avs too. And even if they'll be without a MacKinnon, I hope it galvanizes them. Like, let's do this sort of in his absence. Let's do right by him in his absence, because there are other players that I think look good in this game outside of MacKinnon and Blackwood. Another being Cale Makar, a player that I think
dangerous,
had a great opportunity. This shimmy snapshot stopped by Vamelka in that second period. And so I think what Utah has done well is they've blocked a lot of shots. They have made getting the pucks to the net a little bit challenging for the Avs. And so I think it's just a matter of time. If the Avs continue to apply that same pressure, especially what was at the end of that period, it can absolutely work to their advantage.
Yeah, Lehkonen skating away from that scrum laughing. Psycho shit. Nathan MacKinnon, like you said, he's not afraid to take care of his own business. He can be a mean guy. He's strong. He's tough. That fight didn't look like it was, like a heavyweight bout or anything like that. But yeah, Nathan MacKinnon doesn't need people to step in for him. And when his engine is going like it is tonight, yeah, it's not surprising to see some of that stuff happen. Usually you see stuff like that in a situation where a team is struggling, whether it be within a game, within a stretch, and you have one of your leaders come out and say, I'm going to get involved. If no one else wants to get their hands dirty, I will. That's not really the case right now for the Avs, but to your point about it potentially being able to galvanize the team, this is one of those situations where it's like, if Nathan MacKinnon can go out there and if he's that into the game and he's laying it all on the line like that to the point where he's going to drop the gloves with someone, there is no excuse for anybody else to do anything other than the same. Go out there, get involved. I also give Utah a lot of credit. In the back half of that period where it felt like the Avs really were pouring it on, sustaining a lot of zone pressure, putting pucks to the net, blocking a lot of shots. Utah blocking a lot of shots. And again, laying out, getting the body in front of things. You don't necessarily want to be in a situation where you're having to block 10 shot attempts on a shift, but that is the level of commitment that the Avs are going to need to play with here in the third period. This is a good Utah team. They're 2 points out of a wild card spot. When was the last time Clayton Keller saw the inside of the playoff picture? This is a game that probably means something to them, and they are going to come and empty the tank in the third period, trying to get back even in this one.
And that's where I really want the Avs to think back to the last game at Ball Arena against this team. It was disappointing and a little embarrassing. And so I hope that they feel a sense of pride in this one to sort of course correct the series then from that difficult game last at their home arena and make this a disappointing game for the home fans in Utah.
Let's talk about Nathan MacKinnon. You mentioned earlier that he's been one of the best players in this game. I think he's arguably been Colorado's best player, maybe outside of Mackenzie Blackwood. He does not look like he's missed a beat. He is someone, Megan, that I thought was going to benefit the most from the last handful of days being off, forced to be away from the rink, rest, recover. This was a player that we had started seeing skipping more and more morning skates, taking the option on things, and just leading us to believe that, yeah, this is probably a guy who's a little bit banged up. Given the amount of minutes he plays, the workload that's put on him, the responsibility on all 200 feet of the ice, he was someone who I think really benefited from being able to get away for a few days and just rest, recover. He looks like he's gotten some jump back in his step tonight to me.
No, I think so. Going back to the start of this game, the first power play opportunity 3 of those 4 chances come from Nathan MacKinnon. I think that so much of their best opportunities have run through him, to include Lehkonen's goal, in one way or another. And it points to the way in which he can be such a leader and impact player for this team. We are all aware of that. But I think this turning point for the team and feeling maybe some confidence in the goaltending, I think, is really punctuated by a game like tonight, where they have been hemmed in their own end at times, and they've had a few mistakes that have been, their own players putting pucks on net, or some uncharacteristic giveaways, which they've baited Utah into more so, by the way.
Yep.
But Mackenzie Blackwood has come up with saves, and I just feel like that unchains players like Nathan MacKinnon to worry less about what's going on in net and just focus on being Nathan MacKinnon. And I think that's evident tonight in the second period as well. You even look at the power play opportunity that they get on the Kerfoot goaltender interference call, and another one, 3 opportunities on net, or like 2 or 3, and then a few attempts blocked by Utah.
Yep.
So just a really great penalty kill on their behalf. But Nathan MacKinnon in the mix yet again on the man advantage. Obviously doesn't convert on this one either, but he's been a huge difference maker. It seems like he's got a lot of jump, a lot of compete, and it does seem to have an influence on the rest of the team around him. I think everyone playing alongside him, any shift on the ice with MacKinnon is made better.
Do you like him fighting?
Because he hasn't made a habit of it, I don't have an issue with it. One, he was getting hassled by Hayden. It was really annoying. I don't mind him in that moment saying, hey, you can't do that, actually. If this became a habit, I would absolutely take issue with it. There is so much risk to such an important player involved, but I don't hate it tonight.
I'm with you. He doesn't make a habit of it. And it's also, I do just think, a good, like, we talk a lot about deterrence when we talk about fighting and enforcers and things like that. But I think when you have a player like Nathan MacKinnon, who's big, strong, powerful player, and is not afraid to stand up for himself, to me, that's a little bit of a deterrent, where it's like, hey, he maybe isn't going to, pound your face in every time you lay a check on him, but Nathan MacKinnon is not afraid to defend himself. And I think that's, in its own way, a nice deterrent for him.
I think so too. It sends the message too that he's not going to make it easy. He's not going to be messed around with easily.
Well, again, how many times have people heard me talk about Nico Sturm's comments when he got to town? I'm not hard to play against in the sense of I'm going to put you into the 4th row, but I'm always going to be in your hip pocket. I'm tough. It's Nathan MacKinnon. He's hard to play against. He's a difficult player to play against. And like you said, it's not going to be an easy night playing him, whether it's him putting a move on you like he did there to set up that goal, making a nice seam pass, or if he's got to drop the gloves and take care of business himself, Nathan MacKinnon's going to do what he has to do.
Yeah. I like the way it represents his leadership style too, that he's not above doing any of the dirty work. And I think it's important for the team to see that in their leader.
I agree with you. I've really liked what the top unit has done in this game for the Avalanche. Again, I felt like the first part of that period was more or less controlled by Utah, but it felt like the Avs top guys were able to push back and really get some momentum going in their direction. And when their top guys are skating like this, they're hard to handle. Combine that with the goaltending we've seen from Karel Vejmelka, but also Mackenzie Blackwood is where I was going with that point. Both of them, it just makes this team so hard to play against. I wanted to talk about Mackenzie Blackwood in this game, and there was one play in particular in that first period, in the first period, where I believe it was Carcone. Is it Carcone or Carcone?
Carcone.
Carcone came out from behind the net, kind of stepped out, had some room to walk, and tried to stuff the puck in on the far side. And it's a difficult save for Mackenzie Blackwood to make. There's a lot of movement in tight. You can't, open up too much and expose, different areas of vulnerability and slip pucks 5-hole and, things like that. But he's able to stay tight, keep the net protected, and then push off and get a stretch pad out to reach the other post. And I told you, I just said, that is where the size and the width, the wingspan of that butterfly for him is just, it's something that, Jared Bednar said, if all things are equal, you're going to take the bigger goalie every time. That's why. When you just have that type of ability to seal post to post.
Yeah, his size has been so helpful in his positioning. I think back to the first period in particular, just having a body part there to make the save. He's just so large, and it's not to take away from him coming up with those saves, because at points there's been a lot of traffic in front of the net, and he's been able to still see what's happening with the puck through that and get his body at least angled in the right place, pads chest to the play so that when that puck does find him, his body stops it. And that isn't to be understated. That's a good goaltender in the right place.
He is someone as good as he's been so far here tonight. Even a little bit of criticism from the ESPN broadcast. Man, just 4 games, and they've already given him a 5-year deal. A big third period here from Mackenzie Blackwood, I think, would be a really nice way for himself to kind of shove it back in the face of all the haters today who said, too short, not enough of a sample size for them to commit this long term, that amount of money for him to come out. And I'm not saying he's got to complete the rest of the way here without giving up a goal, but another strong period where he really kind of is in control and can help his team get a win. Like I said, I think is going to go a long way for him saying wasn't premature. They understand what they've got here.
And what I like about Blackwood is he's been great through this point, but he also seems to be able to reset period by period. And so I'm sure Jared Bednar talked about this, that he's always competitive with himself, that he wants to be better.
Yep.
I do want this to finish out more of a statement game from him. It's not a bad one right now, but I really want, just given the timing of the extension, for it to be that for him. And the Avs haven't played badly in front of him, but it's not been a perfect game that's been delivered to him on a silver platter. So I'd like to see, on one hand, the Avs just make his life a little easier, but I also want to see him run away with this game so clearly that it kind of silences some of the doubt around this extension.
Well, and not only would it be good timing and it'd be good for him to, on the day, the Avs need him to be strong here in the third period. They have, despite maybe being the better team at certain points, Utah has played a good game. Karel Vejmelka has matched what Mackenzie Blackwood has done, more or less. The Avs need him here to close this game out. Getting ready to drop the puck on the third. Megan, final thoughts, what you want to see the Avs do here in the third period.
Stay disciplined. Try not to get involved with the extracurricular. Bait Utah into making the mistakes and capitalize on it. But don't make mistakes of your own. It's been a good PK. Mackenzie Blackwood, a huge part of that. But don't make your life harder. This is still too close a game.
Get out of your own way, right? You're without Nathan MacKinnon for the first 5 minutes. Don't put yourself in any additional holes, and don't make this any harder on Mackenzie Blackwood and company than you need to. Puck's getting ready to drop for the final frame. We will be right back here after the game to walk you through how this one finishes up. So Avs, Utah, heading into the third period. Avs with a 1-goal lead. We will see if they can hang on to it. We'll talk to you guys in 20 minutes. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. Mark behind the glass. See you guys soon.